Here's to the misunderstood dandelion. You know, we've always been taught that the perfect yard is pristine, green, no weeds. You know, that what we grew up with. Perfect lawn like a golf course. The more I'm doing this gardening thing and getting into trying to do it organically and healthy, I start to wonder, what are those perfect yards? What are they costing us? It all started after World War II, apparently, because that's when the age of pesticides and 2,4-D came on. I think we used it in the war to eliminate foliage for whatever reason. And when we came back, the companies that made that product wanted to market. So they marketed it to us to kill all the weeds and make our yards look pristine. And it became kind of the responsible thing to do. Have a nice lawn, keep your neighbors happy, keep the HOAs happy, and everybody benefits. The only thing that got forgotten, I guess, in that whole thing is that bees don't benefit. And neither do a lot of the other pollinators. What also led to that whole pristine lawn issue is the advent of rotary lawnmowers. Apparently made it easier to keep a manicured lawn, to mow more often. It used to be you'd have a push mower or something like that to have to keep your lawn maintained, and then it became motorized and simpler, easier to mow a lawn and keep it at a lower level to make it pristine and golf course like. And it used to be apparently that only the richest families that had a gardener or somebody that would maintain their lawn for them could afford that. So everybody was allowed to have and able to have, for fairly cheap, a nice lawn. I lived across the street from a guy who spent almost his entire weekend mowing his lawn. He took a lot of pride in it. He had a nice lawn. It was one of those manicured, pristine. There wasn't a weed in it. I mean, you would have to look awfully long and hard to find a weed. So kudos to him for that, I suppose. But you know, that just never held. Even back then, before I got into this gardening thing, it didn't impress me. I don't know why. What that green lawn is a desert to a pollinator and most wildlife. There's not much there for them to thrive on. Broadcast spraying of pesticides, they're really not good for bees at all. From the things I've been reading, and that's where I got all my information. I got online and started reading, and I've read several different sources. But the bees, it confuses their apparently honing system. They get disoriented from the spraying of it doesn't kill them right away, but it disorients them and they can't find their way back to the hive. At least that's what I've found in my research. You know, the modern lawn was sold to us. It was sold to us because they had a product. You know, back in the day, I grew up in the 60s and 70s, and we didn't worry about a real pristine lawn. And I remember lawns having lots of bees, lots of butterflies, we had a lot of clover and a lot of dandelions. And, you know, we also had grass, but I don't remember my dad going out there and having a pristine lawn. I guess I'm like my father. I'm not that's not important to me. And I understand that. You don't want a lawn that's, you got neighbors that take a lot of time and pride in that. You don't want somebody that's letting weeds go really high and a total mess. It would lower the value of your homes. I understand all that. But there's got to be a happy medium between having a golf course lawn and having a lawn that's more healthy for the environment. That's too short. More wildlife friendly. My whole focus on having a lawn or having my yard now is based around making a place that's more, I guess, conducive to drawing wildlife and growing food. That fits me just fine because I don't know if I'm lazy or I've never wanted to bother with that, but it just isn't important to me. Back when I was trying to do that kind of thing, I had a lawn service that came because I worked full time and they did all that for me. But they would come and spray, they would apply fertilizer like 4 times a year. They would spray 2 or 3 times. I guess my point being, it's not cheap. It cost me a few $100s a year just to have the fertilizers and the pesticides put on. That was before I got into this gardening thing. Now, I don't want to apply any fertilizers. I don't want to apply any pesticides. So think about the cost of a pristine lawn. You have water. You have gas for the lawnmower. You have to buy a lawnmower. You have a weed eater probably. You have pesticides. You have fertilizers. You have just the energy required every weekend to maintain it or during the week. Which gets me to the poor misunderstood dandelion. Again, I did some research on this, and a dandelion was once actually grown and revered for it being a food. It was an early food. It was an early food for people that cultivated it. Every part of the dandelion's edible, from flower to root. You can use the flower to garnish salads, and to use in salads, you can, and I've done this, you can make a fritter out of it. We fried it once with, put a little breading on it and fried it, and made like a little crispy dandelion flower bites. They were delicious. My wife wants me to do that again. You can dry the root and use it as a coffee substitute. They used to, in some places, actually remove the grass from around the dandelion to preserve the dandelions. Another little fact I read is that each flower that you see is actually several flowers. They're all made up of hundreds of little flowers. So it's actually a relative of the sunflower family. I guess that's a benefit of this YouTube channel, is that it's given me a chance to learn some things, because before I get on here and start talking, I want to make sure I've done a little bit of research. So I've learned a few things. So the benefits of the dandelion aside for humans, it's also one of the first sources of food for the bees. When they come out of hibernation, like this yard now, it's very brown, very little going on. But the only life you see I can take you around and show you is dandelions. They're the first things to bloom, besides maybe an early blooming fruit tree, if you have any of those around you. But the dandelions are some of the first food sources for the bee. What the dandelion does apparently is sends down a huge taproot and brings nutrients that are missing from the surface to the surface with that long taproot. And it's when the dandelion dies, those minerals and things it brought up disperse into the surface, helping your lawn to flourish. It has apparently more vitamin A than spinach. It has more vitamin C than tomatoes do. And it's loaded with iron and vitamin K. That's pretty cool for a plant that the whole plant is edible and we treat it like a weed. But the downside, to be honest, about the whole thing is that they obviously are very prolific, and one dandelion flower has thousands of little seeds, and those spread quickly. I guess the takeaway on that is you don't want a whole yard full of dandelions. I get that. Maybe we don't need a 1950s type of lawn in 2026. With the probability of water shortages this year and water restrictions, having a more natural yard will make sense. And some of these people won't be allowed to water the lawns like they normally do. I'll be ahead of the game. What are you doing, Charlie? You helping Daddy? All right. You know, maybe a healthy lawn is more than just being green, pristine, well-edged. You know, maybe it's more about the health of the ecosystem, our planet, our bees. My yard is not by any means a pristine lawn. This part is, but this part's fake. And that's part of another video I'm going to do. I'm going to simplifying my chores as I age. It may not be the prettiest flower out there, but you can eat it, and it offers a lot of benefits for the garden. For me, there's going to be a combination, a happy medium, which also keeps me from working so much and using so much water and using any pesticides or any type of anything that would be harmful. My whole mindset for this whole backyard thing has always been, and will be as I continue to go here, is to make a little oasis, to make a little piece of paradise in my backyard. When I come back here and I see some birds and the butterflies and even a bee, I'm just happy I'm providing that for them. You don't need your whole lawn filled with dandelions, just a happy medium, you know? But I think there's some valid points to be made for not spraying everything in your yard and trying to have that pristine 1950s lawn that looks like a golf course. I think that there's a good argument towards that. Let the dandelions bloom for a while, give the bees something to eat, and then decide if you really hate them that bad. And if at that point you want to mow them down or remove them, I guess that's your choice. But I just wanted to point these things out and how I feel about it, and why I choose not to. So, embrace the ugly. Realize that a yard or lawn with some yellow in it and some clover isn't messy. It's actually a thriving ecosystem. It's doing what it's supposed to do. Hey, this was a little bit of a different video, But it's something I felt like I wanted to share, because my wife and I have talked about this for a while, and we've always wanted to keep the bees healthy. I think bees are very important for our planet, and I think it's worth looking into anyway. I hope you like this video. Like I said, it's a little something different, but it was kind of refreshing for me to do. I hope to see you again. Take care. Bye.